Now, just to give you guys a little taste of what's actually in the book, I'm actually going to cut to an interview with one of the members of Public Enemy who goes by the name of Professor Griff. For those of you that don't know Professor Griff, we also kind of consider him the Minister of Information. He's been an activist in the black community for quite some time. And so he and I actually got together and discussed some of the issues of the Willie Lynch letter, as well as to outline a new way of thinking for the black community. So let's go to this interview from Professor Griff.
The breaking of the black woman. So when it talked about sex, we have to understand something. When you talk about the whole idea of child support, you're talking about the whole idea of black men being forced to go into black women, regardless of whether you was related to them or not. We were forced to go into black women and not care for the children. You think after 300 or 400 years of going into black women and not caring about the children, you think once we were quote-unquote set free, we would let this particular habit go? So that's exactly what we do today. We meet a chick 90 days, 6 months later, we impregnate her, and we walk away as though the child is not even ours. And that's the same thing we did on a slavery plantation.
Wow.
Same exact thing. It talks about sizes of plantations. We brag about being the first one out here, or the first one out there, or the first one on my job, or the first one to live in Oakland somewhere, in one of these suburbs. We're the first ones in this particular community. That's the same kind of madness we do today, as though it's supposed to give us a certain degree of status, just because we live close to the white people. And then ultimately the attitudes of the owners. Hell, we could look at the sports teams and see how they fuss, fight, argue about the status and the attitudes of the particular owners. Those Minnesota Vikings versus the 49ers. And they take on that frequency and that vibration on how the owners feel about themselves and the other team and the other team owners. And we take on that same attitude to the point where we end up hating one another. And we don't own a goddamn shoestring factory in America.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Bragging about somebody else's wealth and somebody else's team, on whether or not what owner get along with other owner of whatever team. This is ridiculous. Whereas any of them basketball players and football players can be traded and a contract sold to other owners at any given moment. You ain't nothing but a goddamn NFL slave, an NBA slave.